So.
But I got the two best installers out here.
That is true. Two best installers. That hooks $1 million mansion up, makes it look even better. Makes it $2 million at this point.
Excellent. Hi, this is Comet Troy, the RV park builder. I'm here at Harmony Ridge RV Park. And today we're going to have an exciting video. We just got through a heat wave, 100 degrees every day, El Nino. You know, not only here, but, you know, all the states throughout the whole country have been under heat advisories, you know, 100, 105, 110 degrees. So finally, you know, today on Sunday, the Sunday before Labor Day weekend, we finally got down into the cool 90s, like 91, 92 right now. I've been a full-time RVer now for, I don't know, 7, 8 years. And staying in a lot of park. And one thing I can tell you that's pretty consistent is campground Wi-Fi typically sucks. You know, everyone gets in their RVs, you know, after dinner and watches Netflix and streaming, and, you know, I've never really had a good experience. So I've decided to do a 3-part series. Part 1 is going to be just, you know, what a utility company goes through. You know, what happens when you order fiber internet, at least, you know, in the area here, my experience, you know, you think, you know, if you come from a big town, you call up, you know, the cable company, you order internet, you know, you're hooked up a week later. Well, let me tell you, this process out here literally took 10 months. I could have made a baby faster than that. So part 1 is going to be taking you through, you know, that process. That 10-month process. I'm going to have a lot of historical video that I'm going to show. So if you see me standing in front of this camper here, we're open for business, by the way. It's Labor Day weekend next weekend. We're full. We're completely booked full for Labor Day weekend, but we have some availability after that. Or the fall call. If you want to come out and see the fall colors, you know, we got some availability. But I digress. So anyway, if you see me in front of this RV, I'm talking present sense. If you see me running around the campground, it could have been from 10 months ago, could have been 6 months ago. You know, it could have been video I took, you know, a few weeks ago, but whatnot. This will be your cue that I'm talking about, the narration of the video. Part 2 is going to be a fun video. We're going to have half the IT guy come in, and he'll answer some questions. He'll talk about some of the challenges and pitfalls of doing RV park Wi-Fi. I think it will be a pretty informative section, and half the IT guy has a lot of experience with networking and electronics and, you know, that sort of thing. He's got a degree in electrical engineering technology. He's been in the industry for over 30 years doing that type of thing. So I think that should be a, you know, a pretty exciting video to understand, you know, some of the challenges is to bring internet and Wi-Fi to a campground. And then part 3 will be, you know, how we applied those policies and designs to Harmony Ridge. So, you know, part 1 was getting the internet here on site. Part 3 will be, okay, now that we have it here, you know, we got it on the property, now what? You know, how do we make it available to our guests in the best way possible? All right, I decided to put a chapter in here on underground versus overhead. You know, it's just like the fiber is a lot like electric. So electric can go overhead down utility poles, or it can go underground, you know, along the road. It can come into your property underground, the electrical system, or electrical can come in over poles into your yard. Same thing with fiber. You know, fiber can go underground by the road. It can go up on utility poles at the road. It can come into your property underground, or, you know, from across the utility poles. Typically, you know, what happens is, you know, the electric will go in first, and then the fiber will follow the electric. So if the electric is underground, you know, there's no utility poles to put fiber on. So naturally fiber is going to go underground as well. Same thing with overhead. You know, if there's already utility poles there that carry the electric, you know, down the road, then, you know, you're going to see the fiber typically going, you know, on those same utility poles. And the same thing with cable TV, you know, or even phone lines back in the day. Now, are there exceptions? Of course there are. In our case here, we have overhead electrical down the road. We have overhead fiber down the road, and then coming into Harmony Ridge RV Park, we have underground electrical and underground fiber. In fact, we ran conduit, 1-inch conduit at the same time we ran the 3-inch conduit for the electrical. And then, you know, after we installed it, I guess they're even allowing people to run just PEX for their fiber, which is, you know, quite a bit cheaper than running PVC. But there's also problems with, you have to take a lot of care when you bury the PEX in the ground. You know, you can't throw a bunch of rock on top of it and have it crush the PEX, otherwise you'll never get the fiber through it. So I don't know, the PEX just sounds like, even though it's cheaper, might be kind of a nightmare, and it requires some special handling, you know, to cover it up in the ground. You know, we're lucky enough here that I bought this land in October of 2021, and at that time there was literally no infrastructure at the road, no utility poles, no electricity. There's water and gas there, believe it or not, but no electricity. So I've got to see literally the installation of the fiber internet from the ground up. So I'm not going to show, you know, all the prerequisite steps. I'm going to, you know, talk about the actual fiber stuff, but, you know, there was, just to give you an idea of the timeline of what it took to get FiberNet internet in here. And I think probably November, December time frame, I had filled out an online form that said, yeah, I'm interested in fiber internet. No poles, no infrastructure here. And that was at the end of 2021. They had flags in the ground. The utility company had flags along the road where the utility poles were going to go. And then in early 2022, the developer had to come through and do some right-of-way clearing. So where those telephone poles were, I keep calling them telephone poles, that's an old school term. They're technically called utility poles because they carry the utilities. But the developer had to come through and clear a right-of-way to you know, clear the trees from the path of where the electrical wires were going to go. They have to clear 20 feet into the woods, you know, to make room for those wires. And then in March of 2022, the utility company came out and with a big post hole digger, put all the utility poles in, put the guy wires on them. And then I think in May of 2022 of last year, they actually ran the wires down those poles. And then in July, we finally had power on our lot. You know, I had some of my earlier videos, you'll see that. I've linked them above here if you want to go check them out. But July of 2022 is when I first had power on my lot. So all this stuff is really kind of important to mention, because before the fiber can be installed, you know, the electric company wants to install the utility poles and get all the electrical stuff done first, you know, before they release those poles for, you know, for other people. So I had been waiting for the fiber to come down the road, and I'm like, well, they don't even have the fiber run yet, so eventually they'll probably run that and then reach out to me. So I didn't really think too much about it. So now I'm going to take, so now the electrical is installed in July. I'm going to take you back to October 31st of 2022. It's Halloween. I'm just driving around to run some errands, and right after I pulled out of the driveway, I discovered these guys working on running some wires down the road. I knew I already had electricity, so I knew it wasn't electrical. Gas and water were in the ground. Obviously, you're not going to run those on poles anyway. So I was happy to discover that they were installing, you know, the fiber infrastructure. So, you know, you're watching some videos here behind me. This is the actual video of them actually installing the fiber, you know, just outside of our driveway. So that was pretty exciting. A few days later, on November 6th, I recorded this next video segment. They had actually, you know, ran the fiber down to my property and no further, and left a big spool of what looks like wire, but it's actually fiber optic cable. I think it's got 24 bundles in there, and I don't know how many strands are in each bundle, 32 or something. So do the math, but you know, there's a lot of fibers in a fiber optic cable that they can split off and run to each other's property. And you can see, you know, you can see some of those bundles in the video coming up here and whatnot. So this video that we're going to watch now was a video that I had recorded back on that day on November 6th. Today is an exciting day because it's November 3rd, and the spool of wire you see behind me isn't actually wire, it's optical cable. So we are finally getting fiber optic run down our road. Half the IT guy is going to be so excited about this when he learns about this. So they've run it down to the pole in front of Linden camp, and they left this spool of optic cable right here on my property. And if we go up here and look, you can see, you know, that optic cable goes up the spool, or up the pole from the spool, and then goes down the road here. So we basically have 3 wires on our poles now. The top one is the primary high voltage line of 14,400 volts, and then the ground wire is below that, and then below that is where the fiber optic cable is run. And then after they, you know, run their fiber backbone here, let's see if I can come around here and show you. We actually have already run some conduit for our fiber install. So that's the right here. This is for the fiber drop. So it's kind of cattywampus there right now against that post, but once we actually, you know, get the service installed, they'll connect up to the fiber up there, come down my pole and into that conduit that's sticking up out of the ground. Now this conduit goes over to where the transformer is, and from the transformer over to the meter base. I'm not really sure if that's where I want the service to go, or where Hefty IT wants the service to go. I'm also going to run another conduit over to a utility shed where I'd ideally like it to go, where I can put some computer equipment in there and distribute the internet on the property. So pretty excited about that, and I'm guessing that Merriweather Lewis Connect, they call it, MLEC Connect, will be coming around the neighborhood in 2 to 3 weeks to actually install the service. So that's exciting. All right, now we're back to reality. Oh my God, hindsight is 20/20. You know, I actually thought back then I'd have fiber in 2 to 3 weeks. You know, if I would have only known then what I know now, I would have not have set that obviously incorrect expectation, you know, back, you know, on November 6th of last year. And today I got a surprise. I heard a truck outside, and last week I had ordered fiber internet. I went into MLEC and filled out the form, and was told it was going to be 4 to 6 months before I actually get fiber internet. And lo and behold, they're starting to do the install. So the fiber was run down the road. Let's see if we can see it here. Oh, I don't know, a couple months ago. And this first step they're going to be doing is putting a fiber can up on the pole. So they're going to tap into the line that goes down here, and then a second crew will come in, you know, I don't know when, sometime later. It could be 2 weeks, could be 2 days, it could be 2 months, 6 months, who knows. And the second crew will come in and tap into the can they're installing here and run it down the pole to the conduit I've already got in the ground, and then back to my shed back there. So right back over there. And that's where my fiber internet will be terminated. So pretty excited. Looks like fiber cable, huh?
Yes, sir.
You gotta run more of this down for the wetlands, or?
Eventually, most likely. But as of now, it's just this one.
So their tap will connect into this box up here as well then?
It depends if they get their own. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. Is there more down there? Or is it just these? How long does this road go?
There is 3 more lots past here. So lot 25, 26, and 27.
And there'll probably be another box.
Okay, cool. So Mike, this is the cable going to your place. Again, I'll be in control of your infrastructure, like when I cut your water off. This is a 1500 MST, multiple service terminal. This is going to be walked down to the Wendlands pole for their fiber internet. And then they can have up to 6 taps off of that for their fiber service. And then the other end of this, I guess they call it a 1500 MST because it's 1500 feet of fiber cable.
Correct.
And then it will come all the way down here and connect up here to the main splitter part.
Oh yeah. Getting it in.
I guess you do have quite a bit extra.
No.
So the fiber backbone comes down the road underneath the primary wires. There's a big spool of fiber up there you can see. And they're going to put a tap on that fiber backbone. And there'll be 6 connectors for fiber onto my property. They're also going to use the same tap here. And they're running down the street to the second pole down there to the Wendlands. And they'll also have a 6 tap device down there for their fiber internet. You know, I'm going through the spring. I made a few calls and, you know, tried to get some priority on getting the internet. The office was pretty good at running interference and basically telling everyone to wait, to be patient and wait. 26 weeks, 6 months, you know. You'd ask them questions and they knew nothing. Can't tell you anything, we don't know. You know, they could just check to see if your paperwork was in. Yep, you're on the list. They'll get to you when they can get to you. So that was a little nerve-wracking. I tried to escalate it a few times and got nowhere with that. Tried to speak to a supervisor, got some voicemail box that didn't go anywhere. So anyway, I ended up just it's like, well, I guess I'll just get it when I get it. And finally around July, I'm up in Wisconsin. I'm up in Wisconsin for a month, and I get a call from a guy who says, oh, well, we're on your lot to, you know, to run the fiber to your building. So that's, you know, that was really the next step in July. And I have, if you watched any of my other videos, you saw that I ran a lot of conduit everywhere. The bad part of that is it just confused the heck out of the person that came out to install the fiber. I got back from Wisconsin expecting to see the fiber run to my shed. That wasn't the case. So the first guy that came out to install the fiber when I was up in Wisconsin just gave up and, you know, left a roll of fiber cable by the pole. It was attached to the tap. So I guess he was waiting for me to come back from vacation. I got back, I sent him a text message. A guy came out and we worked together to run the fiber where it had to go. So I tried, you know, here's one pro tip I can give you with conduit is I bought some fiberglass fish tapes, you know, 200 footers. I figured it'd be easy peasy just to stick those down into the conduit, you know, and have it come up the other end and pull it through. But let me tell you, you know, you can get down through that first 90-degree bend and you can, you know, make it all the way over to where it's supposed to come out of the ground. But it's almost impossible to get past that second 90-degree bend to come back up to the ground surface. So my fish tape would get stuck on there, and no amount of twisting or sewing machine in it, you know, with the pounding whatever, would get past it. That was very frustrating. So the only way that I could get the fiber run from the utility pole to the shed was using a shop vac. And this is a pretty common method. You just hook a shop vac up to one end to create a suction through the conduit, and then you just feed a lightweight you know, rope or fishing line or string with a baggie on the end of it, you know, through the other end, and just let the shop vac suck it through. In this case here, you'll see with this shop vac video, we're actually sucking a lot of water out of there. So we got the fiber installed, you know, from the utility pole to the shed, and you know, I got to thinking, I'm like, you know, there's 5 more taps up there on the pole, and you know, that's going to be really hard to run a second line through there unless I install a pull string. So I ended up getting Comet Muffin involved. We ended up attaching a 2 pole ropes to the end of the fiber we had just run, and used the installed fiber to actually pull the pole ropes back through the conduit, and then use one of the 2 ropes to, you know, to pull the fiber back through, you know, to where it was installed initially. So we actually used the fiber to pull the 2 pole ropes back through the whole length, and then, you know, used one of the 2 ropes to pull the fiber back in. So now we have fiber run and an extra pull rope for in case we want to, you know, run more fiber lines in the future easily. Okay, so now the fibers run down the road. The tap is put into the utility pole. We're tapped into the tap, and the fiber runs back to my utility shed. Now I'm waiting again. Okay, what's going to happen next? Am I going to have internet on the next visit, or is there more steps in this process? It sounded like there might be, you know, 2 more steps or 1 step. I wasn't sure. But anyway, the last step is they ended up coming out here, and here's some video from the next step, which is installing the NID, the network interface device. So let's watch that. I'm not wearing my Comet Troy outfit today because it's just too darn hot here. It's like 95 degrees, feels like 115. Feels like I should be on the beach, not here in the Tennessee Ridges sweating my arms off. And now the 4th and final step is being done right now here, where they're going to put, what do you call that, a D-mark? The thing that goes on the side of the building?
The NID?
The NID?
NID, NID?
NID. The NID, what does that stand for? Network Interface?
Device.
Device. So, They're out here right now doing the NID, the network interface device, which is the box that goes on the outside of the building. So aren't you going to run that through the wall?
So we like to do it to where less wires are seen, because we like to do it as if you got $1 million mansion. So today you have $1 million mansion, so we're going to try to make it look as less seen as possible.
Excellent. I thought they would probably drill a hole through the side and just have it coming through there, but they're actually you're running down and coming up to the bottom through some existing holes. So pretty cool. Now I knew that they would install the stuff on the side, outside of the building, and bring it inside of the building. I didn't know if they were actually going to bring the router out or not before they arrived. I was pleased to find out that they had a router with them, and they were going to install that as well. It's not just a router; it's also a modem, a fiber modem, and then the router would, just allows you to distribute that to more than one place. So here's the the router part of the installation. How long you been doing this?
I've been doing this for roughly about, all my installation experience has been about a year now. This man here though, that's the man with the plan.
Started DirecTV in '98, so been doing it a minute.
You've been doing it almost as long as I've been alive. So.
But I got the two best installers out here.
That is true. Two best installers that hooks $1 million mansion up, makes it look even better. Makes it 2 million at this point.
Excellent. So is it done then?
Almost. We just got to do the activation process. That'll take about 15 minutes. Once that is done, you'll be ready to rock and roll.
All right.
Watch all the TikTok you want.
Or do all the videos you want.
There you go.
YouTube. RVParkBuilder.com. Or no. RV Park Builder. YouTube.
You can learn anything on YouTube.
We're gonna make you millions off this one here.
Excellent.
Won't be long now.
Alright, once that firmware updates, we will be ready to activate. Once we activate it, it'll take at least another 6 hours to get going. No, I'm just kidding.
About 15 minutes, you'll be up running, bro.
About 15
About
minutes.
15 minutes. You'll be up.
All right.
There. I don't know if you could ask for a better inside installation.
Yeah?
Pretty crisp there.
You like the little shelf we built for it?
Looks pretty nice.
That's where I'm going to put my other distribution equipment.
They can hold the
The
truck up
only
on
thing I'm kind of concerned about is these routers don't like a bunch of heat. 135 plus, then you might have a little issue with the router.
So you just put a fan in here?
Yeah. I'm thinking about putting like a small mini split in here.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, it's got vents on the side of it where it could breathe, but like we do not put them in attics, and because of that.
Surprisingly, in the in the heat of the day, it doesn't get real hot in here.
Here's the deal: if you keep it as cool as us two, you ain't ever gonna have problems. So
There you go.
there you go. All right.
Green light.
Green light means go.
Do you know what kind of password you want to set up?
What kind of
It's
password?
got to be at least 8 characters. It could be as easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It could be all letters, all numbers, both.
All right. So we gotta give that about 10 minutes to do its firmware updates. Once that is done, we'll be ready to rock and roll.
All right, I'm going to go check on my computer work. I'll come back out here in 10 minutes. Woohoo! All right, time to check on these boys. How's it going in here?
Waiting on the firmware update.
Still waiting?
Still waiting.
I came back too early.
Yeah. We're getting the IT techs to push that firmware through and you'll be ready.
All right.
So we're thinking about Nacho Wi-Fi as a password or network name.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Nacho Wi-Fi?
Like nacho cheese?
Yeah, Nacho Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I like that.
You like it as much as you like nachos?
I love nachos.
At least somebody does.
All right, so yeah, they finally got the fiber up and running. They did some speed tests from within, within the building, directly connected to the router, and they were getting 200 megabits up and 200 megabits down, which is called symmetrical internet. If you have the same speed up and down, a lot of the broadband solutions and satellite, you'll get a faster download speed, 20 megabits down and 3 megabits up. The symmetrical is important for doing things like video conferencing and video uploads if you're a content creator. So they asked me if I was satisfied, and I said, well, I want to go inside my RV and I want to check speed tests for my own on my own equipment, make sure I can get connected. So yeah, so we went inside my RV, went on my laptop and connected in with Wi-Fi from my laptop and ran a speed test, and I was expecting to get 200 megabits download speed, and I was getting about 15. So there were several factors for that. Mainly, Wi-Fi isn't the greatest for bandwidth. The further away you get, the slower it is. 5G, if you, requires you to be, closer than the 2.4 gigahertz. So a lot of factors for that slower speed. So I decided to run a hardwire. So I got a 100-foot cat, I think a cat 7. Probably could use a cat 5 or 6 or whatever, it didn't really matter. I got 100 feet of an Ethernet cable and ran that through the conduit I already had run to the RV site. Surprise, surprise. And I was able to connect directly into the the optical router in the shed, and then fish the other end of the cable through my slide seal and plug into the router inside of my RV, and voila, I got 200 megabits of upload and download. I was very pleased about that, and pretty happy. So now I can get with Hef, the IT guy, and design how we're actually going to use this internet now that we have it on site. So the next episode, we'll be sitting down with Hef, the IT guy, and talking about some of the internet strategies to bring Wi-Fi into an RV park. You won't want to miss that. And then after that, the next episode after that is showing what we actually did here at Harmony Ridge RV Park to bring good internet service to all of our guests. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and comment, and I will see you in the next video. And happy Labor Day.